Good evening! Welcome to the 56th vlog. We're now in September, so I've got a couple of thanks. So I want to thank our lovely host, King, for providing us a very, very lovely space with awesome AV equipment and chairs. So, and also a thanks to Perforce for providing us a budget so that we could have some alcohol and some soft drinks, and around about 7:45, so in between the second and third speakers, we will have a selection of pizza. And I won't spend too much time. So tonight we've got Sven. So Sven's from Perforce, and he's going to be talking to us about version management for games developers, as well as possibly excerpts or putting out the virtues of Perforce's software.
Never.
This is not in the order. I've just realised I should have written it, but never mind. Later on, after pizza, we have David Douglas. Going through Azure for this is good. Okay, I had some wonderful slides and it's doing something brilliant. Okay, so I've got to remember this off the top of my head now. So David's going to be talking about Azure for multi-platform development. We have Adam, who I don't think is here yet because I think, according to his message, he's interviewing somebody and he's probably going to bring them along afterwards. So if you see a happy somebody with him, he got the job. If not, God, no. Okay, never mind. And then we also have Jerome, who's got something awesome to show us, which I'm glad he's brought along, and apparently only I can have a go on it. But we'll be talking to us about developing for the HoloLens on Unity. This is pointless to me now. So, we're just going to switch over the AV connection so that Sven's ready to go, and we're going to begin lug 56.
Thank you. Right, silly question beforehand. Any of you developing games? No. Okay. Any of you not using version control? Okay. You're mad. Okay, so I have a little quiz for you. I'm going to show you some trailers for games. You shout out which game it is, the right answer, and you tell me medium or large, because that's the only t-shirts I have. And I'll send the t-shirt your way. How's that? Medium, large. Okay. All right, ready to go? Off you go. Got it? Size. Size. Medium or large? FIFA. You guys tell me sizes, guys. FIFA. Got it. NHL. I'm making a large one. Minions. Need for speed? Where was that?
Crisis medium.
Medium. Medium as well. Got two large ones left. Come on, guys. ETA. What? GTA. Yes. Where was that?
That was me. Give it to
Winning cards. There you go. All right. That's all. Eve. Oof. Let's take a year off and play Eve. All right. What do all these games have in common?
They use Perforce.
They all use Perforce. Why?
Because it's the best version control.
Give this man a beer.
2 t-shirts this way.
Okay. So very, very quickly, who are we? Perforce is an American software company providing version control. That's all we do. for all kinds of things, not just games, but also all kinds of software. If you use any kind of hardware that has a chip in it, it's most likely gone through before a server. If you use a mobile phone, a smartphone, it's gone through before a server, and so on. So all kinds of stuff in there, including some funny ones. Every single frame of every single Pixar movie ever made started its life and ended its life in a before server. We have 5 offices around the world. Headquarters, thanks to a recent acquisition, is now in lovely Minnesota, lovely sunny Minnesota. But the development is done in Alameda, in California. I am from the UK office in Wokingham. We have an Australian office and a Canadian office as well, which gives us 24/7 support around the world because we have customers around the world. And if you're EA and you want to create the latest game and it has to come out and it's not working, then you call in the middle of the night and someone has to be on the other side of the phone and help you out. That's what we do. So, silly question. Why the heck do we do version management at all? Or I could ask the other way around. Why would you not use version management? But that's the, why do you use version management? Come on, guys.
Sometimes you don't know where it goes wrong.
Sometimes you don't know what goes wrong, okay? But that's not the very first thing you would think of. You are correct.
Team collaboration.
Team collaboration is, okay, another one. What's the very first thing?
Backup.
Backup, thank you. Safe storage. I'm going to go back to the previous version of that. I want to have something that I can go to in case my computer blows up, as they do occasionally. Okay, then we had collaboration, perfectly right. And also, if you want to find out what's wrong, going backwards in time and somehow identifying what's going on there is probably the right thing to do. Very good. All right, how do we actually work with version management? Collaboration. More than one person working together on the same document. What's going to happen?
Conflicts.
Conflicts. Well, so I work on some stuff. Someone else makes some changes. I make some changes. Okay, and then we're going to have discussion. And at one stage, we're going to figure out what we're going to do with that. This process is called merging. Version management system is supposed to provide you with the interface for that. How does that actually work?
Magic.
And pixies. Don't forget the pixies as well. So, this is how it actually works. There is a common base. We're starting out with one particular file. The common is common to you and me, in case we both make changes in that. I make changes, you make changes. We calculate the difference to the base from that. These differences there, we can then merge together. It's called a three-way merge. It's the basis for all text merging. If your version management system can't do that, you have a lot of fun merging stuff together. Especially if it can't do that because you're running it across multiple complex branches. Then it's going to be really, really nasty. There is a catch with this, of course. What are games made of?
Binary files.
And how do you merge binary files?
You don't.
You don't, so you have to lock the files. Okay, so that's an issue. We have to do some kind of locking. If your version management system can't do locking of files, you're in trouble. Because if you're working on a big Unity project with scene, you work on big binary files, images, textures, sound files, or something like that, someone else working on the same file without telling you about it, then one of you is going to look very, very stupid by the end of the day because, you overwrote my changes. Thank you for that. Even more fun if you don't check those binary files into version management in the first place, you just overwrite in the file store. What's going to happen at the end of that? The game doesn't run. You don't get money. So what we need is a single source of truth. One place where you can find the whole game. If you spread the data out over lots of different places, lots of different silos, and you make a change that's not compatible on the other side over there, then it might compile. It might build, it won't pass a test. The test might be your customer. Bad idea. So we're able to trace this down. You want to have a single place. I was just on a conference call with CD Projekt. I'm not sure if you know them, in Poland. Yeah, lots of nodding. Yes, Witcher 3, I've played it. And they've been using Perforce for the last 10 years, and we asked them, so what for you, why do you do this? And they said, well, we had a single source of truth. In the past, they have checked some files not in, and then they traced down a problem because something breaks down the testing, and then they found out the change was made on these files that they hadn't checked in. Then they realized, well, who made this change? Where did the change come from? Why does it break the code? Why does it break the build? So you want to have a single place for that. That sounds easy. Okay, so you develop games. Can you answer me that question? Why the heck is it so hard? I mean beyond the obvious. Coming an idea, building it, working it, selling it, and so on.
Distributed system.
Distributed system, okay. Has anyone worked on a AAA game? You work on a AAA game? Yeah, a few of you. Very good. Okay, how big is a AAA game these days? Delivered to you, the customer.
150 people?
How big is it? How big from the size? 50 gigs? Double-sided, bloody-sided Blu-ray. I think 50 gigs is kind of a standard these days, yes. How big do you think the assets are that go into that?
5 terabytes.
No, the average AAA game is 100,000 files, over a terabyte of source and assets. Yeah, 5 terabytes, there are games out like that. 50 gigabytes of change a day. That's a scary number. That number doesn't scare me. That number scares me. And 100 plus team sizes. The CD Projekt, 400 people working on that in different locations. Okay, and you have to ship the 50 gigabyte changes to every single user. That's a lot of data. Now, there's bad news about this. This is all 1K gaming. That's not the truth anymore. They are working on 4K games. That's not 4 times, that's 10 times the data that have to go in there. So suddenly we're talking about 20 terabytes of stuff you have to deliver to every single user. That's a lot of stuff. Okay. I'm not so scared about those numbers because I know what Pixar does. They don't talk about terabytes, they talk about petabytes. So size is not so much a matter, but lots of users, 400 users worldwide, and something like that, that is an issue. So what do we do about that? Well, we've got a tool called Helix, and that's designed to be the single source of truth, to store everything in it. Your sound files, your text files, your scenery files, wherever it comes from any kind of source, and then plugged up by anything else. Your build systems in the background, you deliver it to a platform, whatever. If you Dockerize your tools this way, that's the thing to do. And obviously you want to work with your favorite tool, so it got to be integrated in the right tools as well. Your IDEs, your build systems, typically your image and 3D tools as well. You probably use, if you're an artist, you use the 3D Max or Maya or some of the other tools in there that build together. How does it work? Well, if you want to store that much data together and have control over that, you got to have a single server somewhere. A single server that's replicated to the other sites as well to make sure that people within a site can access the data locally as quickly as possible, because terabytes of stuff across a WAN is not a fun thing to do. So there's a database behind it, our own proprietary database, and then your files. It's what a file system typically in big file stores for gamers. They are big customers of either NetApp or Fujitsu or EMC or something like that, and they have these 100 terabyte storage sitting in the background to spread the stuff out. This is a single source of truth for all data, all projects. Some gaming sites or some other customers have every single project in one single place. Now you as a developer don't want to have every single file of that over that. So you don't want to just download the whole repo. Good Lord. So you have a so-called workspace, a local area. You pick what you want to work with to one project. It might just be, I'm going to work on these source code files, and I just have the digital assets compiled for me ready so I can test out the game. Or the other way around, I am an artist, I want to try out the game, so I have to have the game engine ready to run, and I can just plug in my tools that I'm working on. And that's what you can do with this mapping of the workspace. The same is true over WAN, then another proxy or replica that pulls the stuff up. One of the things you added to that pack is streams. So in gaming, you often work with different branches, and it gets often confusing which branch is currently the active one, where you have to move stuff. I made a change in this branch, where is that change supposed to go to afterwards? So streams make this easier. It has a concept of a mainline trunk master, whatever you call it. That's where my game is. I can break things down into smaller chunks by using virtual streams. That allows me to break this down into the files I'm actually interested in. I can create development branches, and I know how to navigate, how to move changes between the different branches, as well as releases. One of the typical things that game developers do, you know that yourself is milestone branches, where if you're working on a bigger game, you want to make sure that you have a milestone available. You work on that to stabilize that. In the meantime, the other people can continue to work on the next milestone, the next iteration of the game. But you don't want to have lots of switches built into it just to get the fix out somehow, which makes your game at the end very ugly. You want to have a milestone ready. Those of you who use Git, quite a few of you. GitHub, I assume? Mostly because it's there and it's cheap. Or Bitbucket, yeah, of course. And then you have this trouble with, you have to use Git LFS, which is not so much fun. And the artists scream at you because you hate it. Spare thought for them. Of course, you can use Git with Perforce as well. There's a Git adapter that to plug it in. You just use it from Git. So you have a central storage with Git access for the developers. If you prefer the Git workflow, prefer the Git interface, why you would like the command line is beyond me. Must be like being, I don't know, introduced in a very strange religion, and then you believe in every single step of that. But hey, I'm biased. But you can plug out the stuff in that. We even have a special interface like called Git Swarm that allows you to work. This is a GitLab clone that we added the ability that so you can work completely in the Git environment and then just push the stuff into Perforce Helix. Helix is the server, the background, the product of that. So that both artists and developers can work together. That's Helix. So, why should you care? You're using a Git, using GitHub, or you're using Bitbucket. It works, mostly. The project gets bigger, and then you hit the limit. The limits introduced by GitHub or Bitbucket, there are right sizes, but there are limits. You know that yourself already when you hit the limit. And then, well, then you look for something else. That something else might then probably be this, because every other game developer, all the big studios use this anyway. So then you have to migrate all the data off from GitHub or Bitbucket into the system, which is not that hard to do, but it just takes away a couple of days of your development time. So you could just try it out. Yes, it's professional software. Yes, you have to pay for it, but then you have to pay for a Bitbucket once you go beyond a certain size, or you have to pay for GitHub as well. And this can run on premise. It's free for education services. I keep trying to put that into a university. One day I will succeed and actually run courses on that at university for game developers. If you've done an open source project, you get a free copy as well. Otherwise, for 5 users, it is free. You can start out trying it out. We're working on a hosted version, so you can just simply plug it in for that. But then, if you start out, my family at home, yes, my family uses Perforce. It runs on a Raspberry Pi. Why? Because my kids have to write essays and stuff like that, and they had the problem that they were losing stuff along the line. So I just told them how to store things in the local Perforce server, and it's run on Raspberry Pi because they can run it 24 hours without making any noise, and it's fast enough, easily to deal with that kind of load. And that's really all I have to tell you about, except for enjoying the beer and the pizza later. Thank you very much.
A very badly improvised fill-in, but welcome, Jerome.
Hello, everyone. Let me get myself sorted. Oh, nice take.
You have a microphone.
Yes, I do.
Sorry.
I'm special. I go there. HoloLens. So I'm Jerome. I'm the technical director at Neutral Digital. We're a small shop in Shoreditch. We're a bunch of creative technologists that take a bunch of hardware, usually either in beta or R&D, and put them together for experiences. Now, mostly immersive experiences. So we do a lot of VR, a lot of installations, and now we started working with the HoloLens. I consider myself an expert. I've been working with him for about 10 days now, which is more than most people. We've been using Unity for 7 years. It's really like the workhorse of our interactive development. Most of our installation work, most of our apps are made in Unity. Really pleased with it. quick rundown about Neutral before I start with the HoloLens. Neutral has been doing architectural visualization for about 15 years. We work with the likes of Zaha Hadid or Herzog de Meuron or Harry Guger. This is the Philharmonie in Hamburg. It's a kiosk we made with Unity. It runs on a big touch screen, but we're also actually going to release a mobile app. Beauty of Unity is you can just tweak your UI and then switch your platform to Android or iOS, and it just works, right? To be cheeky, actually that UI is not Unity UI. We were using Scaleform for this, which is now defunct, unfortunately, but it's still a really good platform for scalable UIs. We also have a suite of apps that we do, which are very specific to the IFE business. IFE is infrared entertainment. That's through Panasonic, which has most of the market. We're one of their software vendors, and these are titles that we develop ourselves. Little games for infrared entertainment that are going to make their way to the aircraft fairly soon. These are all developed in-house with our team of artists and developers. There's both games and infotainment apps where we visualize data like aircraft. This is pretty much our specialty right now. We also do, like I said, R&D. So this is early exploration, a demo we did for a trade show with the Leap Motion, which I love. It's a really fun device. And again, all made in Unity, heavy use of video, UI. This one is also Scaleform. Really fun, little exploration of touchless interface navigation, a lot of 3D, a lot of sensors. This was last year at the Milan Expo. We had a massive installation that almost consumed the whole agency. We had 9 games on display plus 4 massive 4K screens showing interactive content. It was pretty much an undertaking. Everything is running on Unity. So pretty amazing engine after all. We did video walls, for example. Sorry about the hard sale, but these are just a bit of background on what we do. This was this year at the Hamburg AIX, which is the Aircraft Interior Expo. And that's a 9-screen video wall powered by Unity. Actually, 3 PCs are driving this. And it was a really fun experiment using simple like Unity networking to sync everything. It was a beauty to actually develop, and a lot of fun to see the results because it's very immersive, that big panoramic screen. We had our own little 360 videos, which took you to Bangkok or New York City. That was really quite fun. That's me. Yeah. Demonstrating Give VR. Like I said, we're really big onto VR now. We've been doing commercial VR for about 2 years. A lot of fun project. This is a cabin customizer for Panasonic. It's a really useful tool where you can visualize in real time the changes to the configuration of the hardware. They are actually piping that through their sales and marketing pipeline now. So this is a chunky preview. It's not great capture, but obviously the experience is a lot smoother. We do all the CG, everything is done in-house, including the interactive, of course. And then finally, HoloLens. So we got started in the HoloLens about a month ago, literally. I reached out to partners that we have at IAG, the parent company of BA. We had met them and gave them one of our demos to run on the HTC Vive. And they had a HoloLens, so I asked, hey, can I borrow it for a few days to see if it's any good, what we can do with it, if it's as great as everybody is saying. And it was. I mean, it's a pretty amazing device. So this is it. For those of you who has used the HoloLens before. HoloLens, but nobody? Okay, good. So this is it. Basically, it's tethered to my PC right now because I'm going to show you a preview later, but it's a wireless device. There's no need for this cable. It's just for charging and basically pushing stuff to the device. It's all self-contained. There's a little battery pack here. You have some volume and brightness control. This plastic is just protection in case you bump into something to protect the actual proprietary screen that Microsoft uses. There's a Pico, basically a couple of Pico projectors that push data to specialize lenses. It's pretty light. It's pretty powerful considering it's all mobile. And I have to say that the workflow has been a dream. So we have somebody from Microsoft here. They really nailed the developer SDK on that one. Obviously, to get started, you need Windows. This is a Windows-only device for now. There's a special technical preview of Unity for the HoloLens, so super easy. You download that, click support VR in the publish setting, and the HoloLens platform appears, and then you're good to go. You have to just check a checkbox that export a C# project, take that into Visual Studio Community, which actually Unity installs if you want it to, along with the engine. And then from there, you can actually do your C# coding in Unity and then push the final project to the HoloLens. To take the project from Unity to the HoloLens is quite simple. There's basically 3 drop-downs. You select Release, x86, Device, press play, you're good to go. So it's pretty smooth considering it's the first generation of this device, right? Obviously, you need a HoloLens to get started. There's also an emulator. I use a Mac mostly. I have a PC workstation at work, but usually when I do a lot of exploration, I do them at home, and I run parallel, so I don't have enough RAM to use the actual emulator, but I do have a HoloLens, so I don't need it. I recommend going through the HoloLens 101 course. There's also a 201, which is more advanced projects. It basically gives you a pretty good rundown of everything you need to know to get started with Unity. They really have great documentation and a good video library. They also have the Holo Toolkit, which has examples for all the major things you can do. So let's go over some of the features. Obviously, the HoloLens has multiple inputs. They can track your fingers, your hand. It can also recognize voice commands. So those are really easy to program. Just pass a string, declare an action you want to trigger, and you're good to go. And here I'm just showing quickly, basically the first rough explorations that we did. So little globe with some roots. Part of the deal with IAG when I borrowed the HoloLens is I told them I would give them a avionics specific demo. So here we have an A350. It looks a little rough because I didn't put the anti-aliasing on the in the engine. It looks a lot better inside the glasses. This is live capture. I'm going to show you in a minute, which is one of the brilliant things about the SDK is actually include a way to capture these videos straight out of the box. So there's no post-processing. You can just capture all of these. These are some of the. This is one of the VR demo for the Gear VR that we made late last year, and it was just a quick test to see it. Obviously, it's a Unity demo for the Gear VR, and it took me 5 or 6 hours to take that and getting to work on the HoloLens, which was mostly tweaking content. Like this pixel image in the background used to be a video, 360 stereo video. Unfortunately, that ran at 4 frames per second on the HoloLens. It's not really meant to replace your whole environment. You're supposed to use what you have in the real world and just augment it with some holograms, right? So this was a little bit rough. This is all real-time visualization. It's a bit hard to see. Here it's reactive environment to the music playing. So overall, I knocked those off in about 5 days of actually tinkering the device for the first one. So it's not bad for a first experience. So let's try a little demo and see if this works. There we go. So one of the cool things is once you authenticate on the device, you can use the device portal, which is a browser-based interface to the HoloLens. And one of the features is mixed reality capture right there. I'm going to bump that down a little bit because I don't think I need the full resolution. And if we give it a second, there we go. You guys could switch to yourself, right? Yeah, there we are. So, to be fair, hey, this is not what I'm seeing. One of the limitation of the HoloLens. So this is, in a second, you're going to see the menu here that just appeared. I do this, for example, in order for it to disappear. This to summon it. What I see is, if you extend your arm and look at an A4 size paper, this is my field of view. The field of view displayed here is much wider, right? That's one of the limitations. So I want to fire up one of the demos we did. So we can anchor things, obviously, in real space, but that's going to be demonstrated better when it starts. Let's give it a second. There we go. It should be see our logo soon. Maybe not, this is boring. So I'm looking here at a development in West London. and I can say select. Actually, select. No. There we go. Now, I want to give it a second for the video to update. As you can see, it's tracking exactly what's around me. Here, can put it on that chair, for example. So the HoloLens is actually doing, I can put it on your head, on his head. Maybe, no, I'm just going to put it on the floor here. Drop. There we go. Rotate. Make bigger. Beautiful. Building. There we go. So those are simple voice commands. You can also do a tap gesture like this. Extend your arm like if we were to ask a question, and then just tap. Pretty brilliant. Rotate. So we showed this as a way for building developers to take sort of like a quick preview of a project to key decision makers like the council, for example, and without having to bring the physical model in the experience. So to get out, I just do the bloom gesture, close this window, do a bloom again. Can I get my menu? Oh, actually, you know what? Let me close this, and I want to show you, if I tap anywhere, you can see the HoloLens trying to make sense of the environment, right? So this is what's happening in the background, and this is how the HoloLens is aware of what's happening. So the first time I saw this, that's when I realized that this is it, guys. This is really, you know, what we've been dreaming of for the past like 30 years of, you know, sci-fi, you know. So correct. The camera. I mean, it's clipped at a certain distance. It's about 4 or 5 meters. But before that, it's got a pretty good understanding of its environment, right? Including people here in the front row. You can see the mesh being drawn exactly. It's refreshes about 2-3 seconds, so it's not that instant. All right. So I want to fire up the other demo that I had, which is a bit more simplistic as far as the interactivity. That was one of the first experiments you've seen in the video. In about a second, a big globe should appear in front of me. There we have it.
Could you look over there? Can you see myself on
Oh well. No, on this one actually, yeah, I can probably do it if I like this. There you go. Maybe like this. Sorry. There we go. Is that better? Alright, so here we can do simple interactivity. The gestures, I haven't found a way yet to do like multi-touch. It's usually they have a tap, like I said before, and then a tap and drag, so you can rotate objects quite easily. To give you an idea, when I look at the aircraft like this, I don't see either the tail or the nose of the aircraft. All I see is the center, everything else is clipped. That's the limitation of the device. I'm guessing that in order to get the processing unit to perform nicely and remain mobile, they had to compromise and do it this way. So this is a pretty cool demo. That's one of the engines that we modeled. Like I said, we're working in avionics, and literally this was actually a 4.6 project. I snatched that out, updated all the shaders, basically swapped the material, to the new Unity 5 ones, the built-in shader, and it ran like it's running at 35 to 40 frames per second on the HoloLens about, and it's perfect. I can't really move that much because I'm tethered to the laptop, but as you can see, the physical tracking is spotless. The object is completely anchored and doesn't move at all. So that's about it for the HoloLens. There's also a cool little feature just for fun. We haven't done that. This is from Microsoft. So you can take a window and just plop it wherever you want. It sort of tries to match the environment as best as possible. And this one is quite fun because you can actually place holograms. So here we go. You're gonna get a unicorn. There we go. See? Yeah, that's cool. Who wants to be a T-Rex? Front row, who wants to be a T-Rex? Because you guys are close enough. There you go, you can be a T-Rex. I'm going to try here. There you go. There we go. How cool is that, right? That's HoloLens. Just for this, I think it's worth $3,000. Let me go back to my slide. Yeah. So it is $3,000, which is a bit stiff for a device like this. But to be fair, we already have 3 proposals for jobs using the HoloLens just since we started publicizing 3 weeks ago. So I highly recommend everyone that can to look into the technology, maybe try to get your own. Obviously, they only ship one out to the US, and I don't need this anymore. They only ship the actual devices to the US and Canada, but I think we worked a lot with the HTC Vive, not that much with the Oculus Rift, just because we're waiting for the touch controller. We have the HTC Vive with the controller, which is brilliant for interactivity. And once it's clear that those technologies are going to merge eventually, probably in the next 5 years, right? There's going to be like one mixed reality platform, just like Intel is pitching right now. But this is really science fiction. And a lot of people that had reservations with VR, they don't like really the fact that you occlude their environment, they feel vulnerable because they can't see what's around them anymore. They just love this, and especially the sort of like fun way of voice commands and simple interaction with your hand is quite magical. So I highly recommend it. If you guys can get your hands on it, go for it. And that's it.
I feel like a stand-up comedian now. It's great. So, tonight, I'm going to be very quick, which I'm sure you'll appreciate. We're going to do this in the format of a lesson, because I recently finished training to be a school teacher. So we've got objectives. We want to explore different ways of building in 3D. We want to talk a bit about the value and the comparative value of them and what we might use them for, and look at how they simplify the process. So just before we start, and I'm sorry if someone's already asked this, hands up how many of you use Blender or Maya or Max or anything like that for 3D development? Good! Nearly everyone. Brilliant. And how many of you use ProBuilder in Unity? Wow. That's very rare. It's normally everyone. So, in good old English teaching style, we've got a starter. It's over to you guys. So I want you to think about this for a little bit. How would you make this building in Unity? And if that's too easy, what design questions would disturb you in trying to do it? It should look vaguely familiar, hopefully, if any of you opened your eyes on the way in. So, how would you model that as a level for a Unity project? So obviously if you're going to use Max or Maya or Blender on its own, you just build it. So I'm going to try and step out of the way. Not very good standing in front of a projector. So, anyone? Easy? Difficult? Volunteers? Who said easy? Who put a hand up? Go on. In Unity, how would you do it? No, not in Unity. Ah, okay. You'd import it from... Yeah, okay. But in Unity directly? Anyone happy to do it in Unity directly? Yeah, we've got a hand over there. Slabs, colours and duplicate. How many, yeah, that sounds good. How many slabs do you reckon it's going to take to do that frontage? 30. Higher or lower? What do we reckon? 30? Higher. 100? 300? Yeah, it sounds about right. So peculiar problems. What? Anyone spot a particular problem with trying to do this one? The windows aren't uniform. They're all slightly different, which is artistically delightful, but a royal pain in the arse. Anything else? As a game designer, anything you'd be particularly worried about in building this building? You can't shoot out the windows. Very good point. Exactly what I was hoping for. If you just model it and import it, these are all going to be solid. And that's going to be fun when you're setting up your physics colliders. Because either you can just hit the button, oh yeah, use mesh as collider, and then it's all solid, or you go, oh, let's model it all over again using box colliders. This is going to be fun. So, I would normally, in Unity, probably go, as you said, gentleman over there, cube. So I'd start off with a big fat cube. Maybe add a cube for a window. This would be my first draft. And at first I'd be like, yeah, it's not going to be too bad. And then I look at what I've actually added as a cube. Oh, there's a cube. And that's quite a long way off what we need because of the slabs problem. We probably need something more like that, just to do a single window. And they're all going to be different. And we have the can you climb out of them problem as well. That is one way of doing it. It does work. Sorry, by the way, I can get rid of this if you want, if you prefer. I can project the back, that's not a problem, but if it is a problem, just shout. So, another top way of doing it. Now this, the next one, is how I would prefer to do it, which you can't do in Unity. And actually, it's really difficult in most of the 3D packages we use in game development. Anyone got any ideas? Specifically, especially to solve the climb out the window problem. What would be a really nice way of doing this? Subtraction, yes. So, why is that a problem?
Because you don't necessarily have control of the topology when you subtract.
Yeah, topology problems and so on and so forth. If you were using Rhino or one of the big CAD packages, easy, because they're designed around solid modeling. And you don't get problems with topology. They're just like, yeah, brilliant, no problem. So you would love to do something like, oh, just cut out a window. Just cut it out a few more, and job done. It's a bit more complicated than that, because you have to scoop out the edges. Or you can be really cheapskate. You could say, well, this is my block, that's going to be a window, and you could half build this outside Unity. You could model a window and glue it on like that. Hope you like my graphics. I spent minutes preparing these. You can have lots of points to stick it on, and wait for it. That took seconds. So, actually, all three of those are viable at the moment, and this is the main reason I wanted to give the talk. So, ProBuilder is really, I think the best summary is it's the solution to the very first problem that hit me when I first started using Unity 6 years ago, which was this thing of, I want to do mesh modeling in Unity. It's great, it's simple, it works, it's got a nice camera, I want to do mesh modeling. ProBuilder, mesh modeling in Unity. So it's not as good as having a proper 3D modeling package. Was it 3 of you who said you use ProBuilder? Any of the ones who said you use ProBuilder? Do you model as well?
Used to.
Used to. How do you feel, ProBuilder versus a proper
So I
model?
only use the ProBuilder free version.
Right.
And it's okay for prototyping, but I wouldn't use it for like any level actual
Yeah.
production level modeling.
Yeah. Who's seen Manifold Garden? Couple of you. Because so Willie got a long way in Manifold Garden just building the whole bloody thing out of ProBuilder, which I feel was a bit masochistic. Because on the scale of the geometry he was building, it's just, oh my god, how did you not kill yourself? But yes, it's good enough for an awful lot of stuff, and it is good enough to ship a game with, but it starts to get really painful as you build up for that. So my summary for most people is ProBuilder is basically a weaker form of Blender with a bit more consistency and saner keyboard controls inside Unity. Yeah. Pros and cons there. Real-time CSG. This has just launched last week. And I have, if I can work my own computer, there we go. So, he is literally dragging those windows in, and if you are, oh, we can't quite see off the screen. Those windows are modeled just as windows. As you drag them onto a CSG mesh, it intelligently says, oh, you want me to cut that out, don't you? And it cuts it out, like so. If we have more time at the end, I've got a longer video of that in action. Unfortunately, although the lovely author sent me the latest build today, it doesn't work on my machine. It's crashing, and we don't know why. So I can't actually demo that one. Constructive solid geometry. I think it's constructive. So the point is that instead of triangles, faces that are one-sided, everything you have to work in solid objects. So you can make a cube, you can make a sphere, make a cylinder, but you cannot make a patch. You cannot make a surface. It's physically impossible because that's not a solid object. That's a completely infinitely flat thing. So you can't make a plane either. You have to actually make a cube and make it thin. That allows you to do the kind of calculations where you scoop stuff out and it just works without destroying the topology because it's got enough metadata to keep track of what's going on. Is that a good answer? Everyone?
How does that affect UV maps?
Unity?
UV maps.
Oh, UV maps, right. Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? So ProBuilder is built in with... So ProBuilder, because you pull and extrude the hell out of your meshes, and it's aimed for people who aren't modelers, they have built in a fairly good auto UV system. And so ProBuilder's the one to copy. My impression is that the real-time CSG is going to go the same way. It's got a built-in, as I understand it, a built-in auto UV system at the moment. I think his aim is probably to keep it at parity with ProBuilder's and add options to switch to manual mode and do your own UV per surface, per plane, etc. Up to you. ProBuilder's got quite good options as well for halfway house, semi-automated UV mapping, which is quite fun. Although personally I don't trust it. I normally just switch to fully manual when I'm doing that stuff. Right, where was I? Oh, I was trying to get back to my... Yes, that was real-time CSG. And then this is my one. Yeah, you're supposed to be excited. Yes. And you haven't even seen it. I love you. Thank you, guys. So my one is this going to work? He says, so confidently. I did have these queued up. So that's real-time CSG, but it's a really long video. This one should be a short video, because this was done and I sped the thing up considerably. Now, dare I go full screen? Yes, I do. So, this one is the stick things on. So these all, I've given you in the same order I went through the options in the slides. So, my one is all about you set up glue points on all your objects, and then they snap together. And because it's all programmatic, hit go, and off you go. And it's very easy to then script that and make it into a working vehicle. Now, let's go back. Right. So, that was the end of the that part of the talk. What I wanted to do was to demo these all working together in Unity. And this is the bit where I realized, you know, do live demos. Someone else's software, which has never been tried before. Great move, Adam. So unfortunately, real-time CSG, as well as crashing, has some incompatibilities with ProBuilder. But it was literally launched last week, so I'm sure that will be fixed very quickly. It means I can't get both of them in the same project, unfortunately. But I can get the other two in. So I've got ProBuilder and Snap and Plug. So very, very briefly, ProBuilder has its whole massive, complex custom menu down here. This is all your options for 3D mesh modeling. You start off with make a new shape, build a cube. Where's it gone? Can't see it. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, yes, I know that. Thank you. Now, main view. Oh, come on. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's buried. That's why. There we go. So standard options: switch between vertices, lines, faces, and I'm just very, very quickly, if I can read at this angle, which I'm really struggling with. Yeah. If I select a face, grab, extrude, and There we go, do extrusion. So it's all your standard mesh tools. I'm not going to go into them. You've got beveling, you've got splitting, you've got merging, you've got add edge loops, add edge rings, etc., etc. So that's all well and good. And ProBuilder makes these intelligent objects, which once you've got them, you can then start using Unity controls to deform them and switch back to Unity mode. So basically, if you hit that, all of ProBuilder's stuff stops running so that you can then work with normal Unity objects and you start feeling comfortable and happy with the world, if you're a Unity person. So what we're going to do now is going to be really bold and convert that into a snapping one. So I just drop this on here. And notice that all the best Unity assets like to use big green buttons. I don't know why, but I think it's easy. Everyone just goes, screw it, I'll use that. So this should now have created a... So with a snap and plug, you have to create your snapping points. It's up to you to decide where they are in your orientation. I'm just going to do this one very quickly. It has defaulted to missing its joint. Right, so I've got a snapping point here, and if I just rotate, there we go, there he is. So with this one, God, it's difficult to control this thing at this angle. With this one, the blue arrow tells you where is out on the model. So I'm just going to stick that pointing, stick that pointing up. And the big doodah pyramid is two things. It is the snapping point itself, as we will see in a moment. It's also designed to be very easy to find in the editor, and you can actually move it like this. So this would now start snapping if I drop it on something. Down here is a separate object which I pre-configured by sticking, like the windows on the building, snap points. So if I grab this and just pull the pyramid down, I can then auto snap it into, this is going to look absolutely horrendous. Bang. Fear my elite modelling skills. That's really all I can say there. Look, and you see it's nicely just glued right on the edge. Yeah, I think we'll undo that one. So this object here, I did actually cheat. So what I actually did is made one, duplicated it, shoved it up, duplicated it, shoved it up, grabbed all three. The reason I'm doing this is just to show how these plugins generally, they're super compatible with whatever is built into Unity, so you can just start using these objects. So there you go, I've just recreated a whole bunch of snapping points, and I can grab something that snaps like this and stick it onto any of those. So, how am I doing for time? Oh, the clock's gone. Never mind. Right, yeah, okay, finishing up. So, what I really wanted to do with this, the whole point of this was to, show some very different approaches to modelling inside Unity. And my point with this is it's a jumping off point for starting to do really fast prototyping and really effective prototyping, but also I think as these tools develop and as you get used to them, you can actually start building massive complete levels in them and complete stuff. And I'm trying to get away from doing everything the old-fashioned way, where we used to, which is we used to build everything in 3D Studio and then import it and then chop it up and then reassemble it in script. That's what we used to do pre-Unity. But Unity's now got to the point, and these plugins have got to the point where you can actually start doing a lot of this stuff right in the middle of Unity. And if you then want to go back and build a fancier version, you can. But I think the most powerful thing for Unity is that this is now enabling us to work as really small teams and build actually quite big, powerful systems. And all of these assets, they're very script friendly. So you haven't lost the data. It's not that you've imported a complete mesh and all you've got is the triangles. You've got all the structure of what is connected to what and where and why, which you can then feed back into your game logic. So I was really just trying to kind of raise those thoughts and exciting things and sell more people on the idea of ProBuilder and sell more people on the idea of using these prototyping tools. Thank you very much.
Cool. How many people have thought about using cloud in their Unity games? Is there anyone using it at the minute? See a couple of hands in the front row. Anybody else? The back as well? All right, so not too many people have thought about using cloud with Unity. I'm David, I work at Microsoft. We get to work on a lot of different open source projects at Microsoft, and we also get to work on our own personal projects, so I'm very interested in Unity. And I thought, well, is there something that I can do for Unity developers so that they can leverage some of the Azure cloud services? So before I got into just thinking of pure technology, why don't we look at the gamer and really focus on what features will enhance the experience for the gamer? And obviously there are a number of services that you can plug into for mobile app developers or game developers. You've got Game Center and Google Play. But the problem with this is that you end up with sort of an Android community and an iOS community. And with our friends, we usually have people on different phones than ourselves. So it always adds to a bit of, I can't play with my friends, or it's not so easy if I change my device to carry on my game. And so this brings on some gamer woes that we've all gone through. I'm sure this has happened to me where I've played a game, I've got so far, possibly addicted to a game in one way, and then a new platform comes out, or I need to change my device, and all of a sudden, it didn't copy across, I need to start again. I'm probably going to lose a whole stack of progress and start again. That's what I'm faced with. So sometimes it's game over. They don't end up playing your game. I've done this myself. I've had addictions to certain games, and then when I've switched platform, I've just stopped playing it. I can't be bothered to start again. So what we need is some shared backend, some way of getting your user information or sharing information with friends across all the platforms that Unity supports, like iOS, Android, and Windows. And this is where Azure App Services can come in, because it gives you a database. It's a mobile backend as a service. And you can use, also supports the social identities like Twitter and Facebook. You can also configure push notifications for iOS and Android and Windows. The interesting thing as well with the database is it's a REST API. So I actually might just want to show you something that you can do quite easily. And with the database, you can, there's a lot of documentation on the REST API, and you can query these things. So if you've used Postman before, has anyone used Postman for REST APIs? A few people. It's a really good tool just for trying stuff out and communicating with the database. So you can actually set up, I've got this table set up for high scores. I can just send a GET request, and you'll notice how friendly the URL looks. If I can zoom in a bit on that, it's just very plain text. And it'll load up all my high scores. I can also write in custom APIs as well. So something like, very simple, hello Unity, very basic, but you could do something like, I don't know, I've seen stuff in Call of Duty where they have some new message, some new content drop, something like that, and you could use custom API just to say, hey, I've got some new content, check it out, and sort of get players to sort of take advantage of the new features. There's also, you can post high scores pretty easy. So I've got this like Postman JSON. I suppose it's quite small there. Hopefully you can see it at the back. And I could change a score, a high score here, and post that in. Cheating. Yeah, cheating, yeah. But this is just a test, just to show you how easy it is. You can obviously add on authentication so that only users can post up scores. And I've got this ID here that I can use later on. If I want to, say, update that high score, I can change the URL, and I can edit the user to be me, and so many extra points. Let's put my score to the top of the leaderboard, probably. So it's quite flexible. You can get all the documentation for the API and just try stuff out. Very easy. So that covers just a very quick look at app services. And there are some offers. So if you are a startup, you can go to BizSpark or apply for BizSpark Plus, and that gives you a whole pile of Azure credits. There's DreamSpark for students if you're a Unity student. There's also like a free trial if you want to get some more credits to try out. But you can pretty much try it for free. So the advantage of this is you might say, oh, I can set up my own backend, stuff like that. But this is all managed for you. You can also start off free and then scale it up when you need to. You don't need to rewrite your backend. It's fully scalable. And this is what the free service gives you. You get up to 10 web, mobile, or API apps and 500 active devices daily. So it's more than enough just to cover your dev and testing needs to begin with. So what I did was I created a plugin, and it's available on GitHub. So last time it was mobile services. I did a talk on that quite a few lugs ago, last year I think, and it was Bitrave plugin, but things have moved on. It's now migrated across the app services, so it's a whole lot better. It's scalable, and I actually created my own library, so it would be totally free, because one of the things with the other plugins was you had to buy premium plugins that cost money in order to get it to work. So this is totally free, and you can download it and just use it for free and try it out. It's right there on GitHub, so you can just clone and download that, and it comes with everything included, bundled in. So it has the app services library. There's also like a Unity REST client that one of my colleagues worked on as a way of, there's a Unity web request API coming out, but it's still in an experimental stage. So this is just like to bridge that gap. And then we have the TS table view. I don't know how many people use the native Unity UI? Okay, a few people. If you want to display tabular data, I don't know, have you heard of this plugin, TS Table View? It's pretty good, it's free, worth checking out. It basically means if you have over 50 items in your table, you'll notice a significant slowdown, especially if your cell is quite complicated. So TS Table View, someone's put it together, it works pretty much like the iOS table view, and it will recycle the cells, so it keeps everything like 60 frames per second, so it's pretty good. So the full demo uses the Unity UI and TS Table View. And so what I want to do is just show you like a quick high score, looking at one of those gamer woes of, can I share my iOS high scores with my Android friends and Android with iOS or Windows? So let's have a look at the Unity project. So when you download it, this is what you get. You get some of the scenes. There's two demos here. You get a high scores demo. Just open that up, and you look at the app services controller, and you would paste in your app service URL. It's very easy to set up. You just go to the dashboard. You create a new app service, web mobile app, and it's right there, mobile app, and you just follow through the process, set it up, and away you go. And here's one I have baked earlier for all my Unity demos. So you just get the URL right here, you copy that and paste it right inside Unity, and then just run. And so what I have here is like just some APIs that you might want to use. So for example, the usual daily top 10 scores, I can request that. And that brings back any scores that I've set today. So I'll set a new one. A nice high score. And I can just refresh that top 10 list. And there you go, logged right at the top of the leaderboard. I can also grab all the high scores ever. And I can update my high score by clicking it here, and I'll say maybe I've beat my old high score. I can update those. And again, I can refresh, and it goes to the top of the leaderboard. So it's just a way of playing around. You can do all the functions that you need on the table, like create, update, delete, all that stuff. I also have like a way to filter by name, so I could pick any score I wanted, any player that I wanted. I could do lug. I could filter all the high scores for that. I have the custom API coming in, and I also have a custom API to generate scores. So it will generate a bunch of scores for me just to test with, and that's using custom APIs. So I'll show you some of the script for that. With a database, you'll have some data models. You can use easy tables in Azure. I'll show you where that is. So you go to your settings here, and if you type in easy tables, it will come up. And basically all you need to do is create 2 tables to get this demo working, and that's it. One high scores and the other inventory. And the beauty about it is you don't need to go and customize the schema or anything like that. It actually uses dynamic schema. So it is completely based off my model here. So I'll open that up in MonoDevelop. And I simply define the properties that I want to use in here. So just like every Azure model will need to have an ID type, which is type string, and then a username just for storing the name that I have, and the int value for score. So it's a very simple data model, and it will just automatically set the schema for you. So that provides a good way of just sharing, being able to have a backend that will share your scores across all the devices that you have. The other demo is something like a sort of chest or inventory demo. And I don't know if you've ever played Destiny, but it's one of the best companion apps I've ever used. There's 2 facets to this. One is that you can use a mobile app while the game's loading, and Destiny takes quite a long time to load. And in the meantime, you can actually change all your swords and your armor and your helmets and move stuff around from different planets or the vault. So it would be really handy to have this ability on the back end to be able to manipulate all your inventory. So I've got a demo for that, and it's the other scene, inventory demo. This one, though, I've decided to do a Facebook login, so I'm going to use my Facebook access token here. So what you have to do if you want to set up Facebook is get your app ID, set up a Facebook app, copy your app ID and your app secret, and paste that into your Azure App Service. So if you search for authentication, you'll find it, and you'll see that I've already configured my Facebook here. So you can just paste in those values, and you can do it for other services as well. And so what I'm going to do is just get my new access token here for my app service and paste it in. So log in. And if I had an iOS device, an Android device, or Windows device, I could load up this screen with my Facebook login, and I could quickly change how many items I had, and it would update on the others. So I can save, I've got now 10 medicines. I can reload that, it updates, or I could say I have no melons left, save that, and reload it, and the user display updates. So I can share those assets or inventory across multiple platforms, so that will update across everything. And again, the model for that's very simple. All I do is take, that's the inventory cell. So all I do is set up int for the number of strawberries and melons and lemons and medicines, and that's pretty much it. So pretty easy with dynamic tables. So that pretty much covers all I wanted to look into. We've looked at the demo for Unity and Azure, and we've looked at easy tables and easy APIs. You can ultimately access anything in your table from easy APIs. So that's everything. There's a complimentary blog post there, which takes you step by step through creating the Azure service. So hopefully, if you have any questions, let me know, or any problems setting it up, just give me a ping on Twitter. I'll try and get you working.